Hey guys, welcome to Shame on News. It is a obvious, crazy news day. So many different parallels, things that could happen, results. It's a very, very, very tricky, intricate situation with the Syria stuff, with the attacks and what's going on over there and what they've done and Assad and what Trump did. And is it right? Is it wrong? What Obama do? There are so many different things, so many. What I will say right off the bat is there's such a chance for so many people to have so many different opinions and reasoning for that opinion, because there are so many ways that you could come at this depending on what information you actually know, what information you care about, and people are very confused. I will say that people are very, including myself. I'm fairly confused. I'm at the point where I'm trying to absorb news. Right off the bat, I'll tell you what I know because it's not much, and then Dave will take us from there because he knows a hell of a lot more, and maybe Jake knows things that I don't even know what he knows. But we are here on Shame on News, and I hope you subscribe down below and leave comments with what you guys think. What I believe is that at some point Obama had ordered attacks, not on the scale of this, and that Trump had criticized it. But now, being in the office himself, Trump has attacked with over, I believe, 60 Tomahawk missiles, an air base, and the air base was the same air base responsible for the chemical attack on the civilians of the country in Syria. And Assad ordered this, apparently. Some people are claiming false flag. There's so much misinformation and crazy information out there. That is the gist of what I know.
Okay. First of all, I've got to stop you there.
Thank you.
Just to tell you that in 2016 alone, during the final portion of Barack Obama's presidency, about over 12,000, I think the exact number was like 12,095 bombs were dropped in Syria. And the total in 2016 worldwide was about 20 some odd thousand. So this was a big portion of those bombs during President Barack Obama's presidency that were dropped in Syria. Now, what Trump did was he lobbed about 60 cruise missiles, Tomahawk cruise missiles, total worth about $90 million, and that's just the hardware. We're not talking about the...
Actually, Dave, I have an updated figure, not to cut you off really quick, but Raytheon, the company that actually makes them, Raytheon company,
my dad worked
RTN, they said, came out here that because they never really go out of demand, in quotes, they said it costs nearly $1 million each missile, so it'd be closer to $60 million.
1.4 million was the sum that I looked at, and...
it was just updated, so they said 1 million each.
Well, again, this is the...
That's not far off, though.
But again, we also have to consider that we're also going to be talking about, as we progress this discussion, the military-industrial complex. And Raytheon is part of that military-industrial complex. So despite the fact that their weapons were used in this attack that a lot of people are decrying, rightfully so, they're going to try to spin this the best way that they can. So what's the best way to do it, especially for the stockholders, is to say, well, it wasn't 1.4 million per missile. It was about 1 million. So you know what? You're getting more bang for your buck when you buy more missiles. So that's another issue that we will discuss. But that being said, is that there was more bombings in 2016 in Syria than there was in this moment. And we'll get to the morality of the situation, whether or not we condone or condemn it later on in this episode podcast for Shame on News. But what's important to understand is that there was really no decrying what was going on with the bombings in 2016. But now that Trump is in power and he ends up firing these about 60 missiles, there's massive condemnation from both Republicans and Democrats and basically everyone in between. And to a certain extent, it's understandable. But what people really, really need to understand here, and I've been deeply looking into this topic, is the fact...
Yeah, you've been researching heavily.
This is, as soon as this happened yesterday, about was 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I haven't stopped looking into this. I couldn't sleep last night thinking about this. And again, I've been doing as much research as I can, looking at all different sources to try to at least get a better idea as to what's been going on. And this, to be very blunt, is a multi-level strategic move by Trump that's going on. There's things that I don't like, that I cannot condone. And there's other things that I can say I can accept and understand. But this is not essentially a precursor to World War III, as many people have been trying to say. This is actually something that's been building up for a while, because Barack Obama, and this is a big thing that people need to understand, and I'm sorry that we have to go through a lot of this information, because again, this gets swept under the rug, people forget, and a lot of the time it's not really talked about on mainstream news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave,
really quick, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just going to say.
Go ahead. No.
I wanted you to maybe wrap this in a little bow for me just in the beginning. So al-Assad's military completely denied using chemical weapons and blames the rebels for the carnage that led to the killings of at least minimum 70 people and 10 children. What do you think initially happened? What was behind all of this?
The problem is that you're asking me to jump to the future, and I will. And the problem is, though, that we have to understand there's a bigger story to this. But if you want me to jump to this, it was an entirely false flag situation.
That's what I was leading into.
The evidence towards this, there's been multiple videos and photos showing that the supposed victims were alive and were posing for this. When you deal with sarin gas attacks, you have to deal with a full hazmat suit to ensure, because it transfers even from skin contact.
Yeah, it stays in clothing or surrounding areas. You can't handle anything.
And again, if you look at the pictures that have been published, especially by the left, to try to promote this as being a humanitarian issue, and again, both sides are playing this, but the left is showing the humanitarian side. You see individuals from the Syrian authorities, supposedly, that are dealing with these victims without any hazmat materials, which means that they would probably be dead or suffering those symptoms within 5 to 10 minutes.
If not sooner. I mean, I'm watching a video on CNN, which proves your point even further, of these victims being treated. And the problem is, I mean, most of these aid workers are just hosing them down with a fire hose, and they're all barehanded. They have no even gloves in some of the scenes or protection. I mean, they're intubating these poor children, and then they're hosing them down. But there's no hazmat suits. There's no chemical treatment.
But here's another thing that people are forgetting, is the fact that it was the UN, NATO, and the United States under Barack Obama that had stated that Syria no longer had any chemical weapons, that they were able to convince the Syrians to put them all in one location. And where was that? The location that Trump struck.
Exactly.
And that's a lot of people aren't aware of that, or have chosen to be ignorant of it. But unfortunately, it just seems to be that in this particular case, these see, unfortunately, my mind is going, a mile a minute right now, because I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe things. There's no real way to describe things in a proper way without setting the
Well, you were onto something. I mean, President Obama originally said in 2012 that he was going to establish a red line against the use of chemical weapons.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in 2013, we had that massive chemical attack that was fully documented.
That's what I wanted to talk about. That was actually probably the main thing I wanted to talk about. Thank you for bringing that up, Jake.
For anybody to launch those chemicals too, I mean, that is one of the worst things you could do besides nuke.
Chemical weapon use has been outlawed by the Geneva Convention for a long time, and we've
with good reason.
Absolutely, we've just reached the 100th year anniversary of the American entrance into World War I, where chemical usage was rampant, and that's where they essentially made it sure that it was no longer going to be used. But in regards to these chemical weapons and such, Obama initially had stated that he had his red line, just like Jake said, and that if there was chemical usage, he would then get involved. Now, ISIS, which is supported, and ISIS has several names, which is moderate rebels as well in Syria. When the mainstream media says, oh, the moderate rebels that the Americans are supporting, those are just a branch of this Islamic jihad network, which includes ISIS, but it goes under different names. Al-Nusra, ISIL, ISIS, moderate rebels, all these different groups. They're the ones that have launched these chemical attacks that essentially these weapons have been sold by America, Belgium, United Kingdom, France, Germany, all these chemical weapons that are supposedly weapons of mass destructions that the West has always come out to say, oh, they've got these weapons. Well, guess who sold it to them? It was the West, because during the 80s and 70s, it was very profitable to support both sides, just like the United States did with Iran and Iraq during their war in the 80s. But the thing is, because of that corporatist decision to profit, to try to sell to both sides, now you've created a situation where these chemical weapons are available for these ISIS groups to steal and then use against the population, and then cause like this international outrage where people are demanding that Trump do something. No matter what Trump does, he's damned if he does. If
why do we have to do this?
Doesn't.
Why couldn't somebody else do this? By the way, why is it always us? Why do we need to do this?
But if you start to really look into the details of this, Trump called Russia prior to this bombing. Okay, he advised them what was going on.
Now Russia denounces us doing it.
It was also a location where he bombed just the airbase and not the airstrip, which still allows the Russians to come in and to utilize that base. The Russians advised the Syrians, and the Syrians, knowing that they would not be able to do anything, decided that it was better to allow this cache of chemical weapons that they had bought from the West, that was now stored under what the UN had decided as the location for these chemicals there in that airbase. They bombed that. So they essentially depleted and destroyed all these chemical weapons that Barack Obama had stated were no longer there in Syria because of his supposed intervention. But if you start to look even deeper, you start to see people like John Kerry and is it John Kerry? Yeah, John Kerry and McCain. Yeah, they're both Johns, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're both traitors. Yeah. The bottom line is they've both been in Syria in about at least 3 months ago. They were both there. And there's ample evidence that both of them have been working to arm the Syrians, the Syrian moderate rebels, which again are part of ISIS. They've been basically trying to stage these false flag attacks. And if you look even deeper, you'll find that all the weapons that the supposed rebels had to depose Gaddafi there in Libya were then shipped through the Middle East to Syria to then support another aspect of what's called the Arab Spring, which has been going on for years. About 4 years ago, this happened in Egypt. It spread throughout the entire Middle East. Why? Because these alphabet soup groups, as they call the CIA, the DIA, all these other groups, decided to destabilize the Middle East so that they could benefit from this chaos. And this is just a big part of this. I know I've been droning on for a while, and we haven't even dipped into the information here, but I think it's only just that I hear from both you and Jake in regards to what I've been spouting, as well as your thoughts on the whole situation.
Go ahead, Jake. I mean,
there's so much, like you said, that's so hard to break down. But my main thing is that you see people suffering, and I don't see a way to basically save us from this at this point in time, without there being more hell for these people to go through. I mean, they're survivors of the Syrian attack describe chemical bombs falling from the sky. Well, There's a couple of, like you said, false flag, apparent facts at hand, and then there's also contradicting facts on top of that. The problem with an air-launched chemical attack like this, if it was a dispersant, as people claim to be used, the death toll would not be 70 victims. It would be 7,000 immediate, up to 700,000. You know what I mean? Anything that would spread through, like an aerosol, would travel so far and wide, especially if detonated above, building level, surface level. It would scatter and spread so quickly that it would become almost impossible to contain. So it's hard to even believe with the facts of what we've been seeing, as Dave pointed out in the beginning, with people, not in full hazmat gear, and all of the EMT responses and things like that. The first responders using such little protection against, a chemical of this nature.
Well, that's what's making some people say it's like fake, because there's so many people running with fake stories out there, because the chemical's gonna go into them because they're not properly wearing the right hazmat suits and things like that.
Exactly,
but that doesn't
it's just
mean
going to snowball out of control. And another issue with this is that they're saying that, we caused this because we blew up the depot with the sarin gas. And if sarin gas, once it's hit like that, it's destroyed. It wouldn't spread. It doesn't disperse. It the way it needs to be delivered would not be. It's not transmissible in such a manner. When we were to blow up that depot where all of the chemicals were, it's kind of like I think over a certain temperature with you ever see the movie The Rock with Sean Connery? That's what they're talking about. It's a VX nerve gas. It's a nerve agent. That's exactly what they use in this movie, is what they're claiming. And it's the main compound in organophosphorus class, specifically thermophosphate. It's a nerve agent, and it's so deadly that it takes a teaspoon of it, to kill hundreds of people. But once it reaches a certain temperature, it basically is destroyed. So these, Tomahawk missiles, they're so powerful and impactful that it's destroying, any part of the weapon that's left. That would not have caused the VX, the sarin gas, any of this stuff to go forward and kill people that they're claiming. So it's like there's so many misleading and false facts out there
that it's
hard to even know where to start.
What do you think about this? Every time, I tweeted about this, at least one person would tweet me, number of people killed in the gas in Syria, 86. Number of civilians killed in Iraq, Syria by U.S. forces since Trump took office, 1,472. So we're killing just as many people, or way more people.
Exactly. We've heard that goes. And now you have Putin, who sends warships to Syria and vows to bolster al-Assad's air defenses. And there's images from satellites to back this up. So
wait a minute. So Putin, I'm confused. I thought Putin didn't like Assad, but now I'm wrong. He likes Assad.
No. Putin has been spearheading the attack against all these ISIS forces in Syria. So
yes.
He's allied with Assad. They've got a base in Tartus in Syria, a naval base that, essentially the Soviet or the Russians, I'm old, that they run. And essentially they're managing their S-400 anti-ballistic missile system through that base, as well as other locations. So the big issue here is that American intervention in Syria comes very close to the military operations of Russia. So you have a lot of risk of friendly fire and potential, escalation between the two groups.
Well, remember we were worried about
both in that sphere of influence.
Well, we were worried about Hillary going after Russia, and now it seems that Trump.
She wanted to create a no-fly zone, and all these things. Now it kind of seems like we're there anyways.
Well, that's still happening. Again, what you guys and a lot of people need to understand is that there's still a lot of neocons that are opposed to Trump that are still pushing for war, especially in Europe with NATO. You've got Ukraine and the Crimea, where they're trying, and even Canada is sending more troops there and more actual artillery vehicles and military equipment to confront some supposed Russian threat, when in fact it's just NATO encroaching closer and closer to Russia, which is only going to antagonize them and force them to respond. The West, and specifically the neocons, the war hawks, the warmongers, and the military-industrial complex, they're the ones that are pushing for war. This whole Syria thing is a totally different issue. Although it is involved with that, there's a lot more to it, and Trump is dealing with a lot of these different things here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Russian president sent out the nation's Black Sea frigate, the Admiral Grigorgovich, to the Syrian port city of Tartus in the Mediterranean Sea, according to the Russian news agency. So now he sent them basically to bolster and to support al-Assad's, diminished fleet after the 59 missile, blitz that was sent forth on the Syrian airbase. So, here you have Putin basically promising to help, and he's sending in this huge frigate to back up al-Assad. And this is all in response to the sarin gas attack. So it's like, are we heading into another World War III scenario? And I'm trying to basically figure out why this happened.
The reason why this happened is because a few weeks ago, and I'm glad that we finally got to this point, is that a few weeks ago, Trump and his administration made it very clear to North Korea and to China specifically that enough was enough, and that if China was not willing to deal with North Korea's antagonizing towards war with the West, that they would deal with it. And this was a perfect strategic method from Trump to actually send a message not only to the North Koreans but to the Chinese. And Trump, the day that this went down, the actual moment this went down, was he was actually having dinner with the Chinese premier, Xi Jinping, I believe his name is. And he basically, they watched this go down while they were staying at Mar-a-Lago's, at the Trump's location there at Mar-a-Lago, and it was a message specifically to the Chinese that, again, America is not what Obama tried to make it out to be, which was a weak, failed nation that wasn't willing to take a stance. Trump was making a major point here, which was that America will not stand for any sort of attempt to blackmail it or to force it into a certain corner, that they're willing to show force. Now, we're not talking about, again, I'm not going to judge about the morality here until the end of this whole conversation. I don't condone or condemn this until we're done this conversation. What I'm trying to say here right now is this is a very strategic point that he made, specifically because of the fact that things are getting so hot in the East with Korea. China is placing all these different military bases in the South China Sea, places they've never had any sort of claim to, and they're trying to take over all these seaways specifically for economic reasons to control the flow of currency through the world. And they've never had a claim to this. Japan, Vietnam, Philippines have always worked perfectly well together to allow for proper commerce to go through that area.
Yeah,
and
they've
China
been able to
now wants
coexist.
to claim it.
Exactly.
So this is a message to China and to North Korea that America is at that point where they're no longer willing to allow for this. They've already moved forward with plans to strike North Korea with nuclear weapons, and they might even go as far as having a preemptive nuclear strike against China. China is not in the position to argue. Well, the problem is China's made themselves out to sound like they're a world power, and they're still a third world country. They act as if they have all these resources, but if you look at what is made in China, you know that the quality is poor, and they've got to rely on stolen technology. They would not survive any interaction with the United States.
You think
China
isn't China
in a tough
huge?
Position for the Trump meeting too, because after the missiles were fired, like you said, Xi Jinping had his meeting with Trump, and it kind of steals the spotlight from him. But this is a huge dilemma all around. China has generally sided with Russia in defending Syria's president, and because of that, now they're having a meeting. Trump might be prepared to order a similar strike on North Korea. And
but who could possibly be supporting North Korea? Like, I get, okay, China. And by the way, I think this is really dangerous because Russia is very, very powerful, and so isn't China, I think. But so China, Russia, Syria, and then maybe some other, maybe even Saudi Arabia and Iran. They would all. I feel like.
No, hold on. It's Iran is supporting Syria because of the Shiite Muslims, but Saudi Arabia is opposed to Iran. Those are two countries in the Middle East that are essentially wanting to control the other with their hegemony.
Well, take them. I actually said them by accident. I meant to say Iran, not Saudi Arabia. But Iran is huge. But I mean, Iran is big and they're scary, and they're basically with Russia, and then China would be with Russia, and that's three big entities right there. Who's siding with North Korea? I feel like everybody should hate North Korea. Nobody should like North Korea.
China is sort of, and I've talked about this in a previous episode, but China is siding with North Korea for the fact that they would rather have a proxy government that is willing to do their bit in destabilizing the region, as opposed to the fact that if, say, for example, Kim Il-jung was assassinated, there's chaos in North Korea, and what happens is that there's a massive amount of refugees that are influxed through the northern border, and they don't want that because they can't handle that. So they would rather have North Koreans stay in North Korea.
But would they want, if North Korea launched some kind of weird attack on, South Korea or Japan,
or even its own population,
or whoever, I mean, would China then still back them? What if North? I mean, do you think if North Korea launched an attack on, let's say, Japan or the U.S., wouldn't China be like, what the fuck are you guys doing? I mean,
well, especially with all the ties that they now have established with Trump, they would kind of have to fall in line, no?
I don't know. I have no.
China would do their own thing. Again, China thinks themselves to be this great sleeping giant that can run over the world. And again, their technology proves that they're a third world country. They're not able to compete with the advantages that the West has. And a war between the United States would not have any. What's that?
But they outnumber everybody by a lot. Numbers.
I've studied Chinese army competency for quite some time, and I can tell you that there was one particular activity that was run that actually had to be shut down because the troops, they were simulating essentially a nuclear war with the United States, and the troops in the silos that had to be cut off from the Western world essentially started to go through, what's that term, when they're... It's like a psychological breakdown.
You mean like shell shock or something?
They had that. They experienced that, and they had to shut down the whole operation because so many of their troops were going through this. China has never actually experienced war like the United States. The United States, in its current state, is an imperial, country, essentially. They've got over 400 military bases throughout the world, which I think is disgusting because there's so much money wasted there alone. There's also
unnecessary.
It's unnecessary. It's destabilizing areas. Again, and this is something that a lot of people are disappointed with Trump in. He was elected saying that he did not want additional wars. He didn't want to involve the United States in any additional conflicts. He was not for regime change. And you've got this situation where it at least appears to be that is what he's going for. I think there's more to this, but nonetheless, this is the impression that people are getting, and it's understandable because that is one of the main reasons why people chose him, is because they don't want this waste in this
in the system.
Exactly, where you've got military contractors making billions of dollars only because you've got bases, around the world. The base in Iraq, the U.S. Embassy in Iraq,
Guantanamo, all these places.
In Iraq, it's essentially like a impenetrable base. Like they spent billions of dollars to make that like essentially capable of handling a full army onslaught. And it just goes to show that there's no need for that expenditure when that could go into, solving the homeless problem in the United States.
Exactly. They worry about outside forces rather than internally. But back to the original point, though, the Turkish form of the CDC from Turkey, the Center for Disease Control they have there, the Turkish Health Ministry, the THM went ahead and they said that with all certainty, 100%, this was sarin gas that was used. According to all the results in their just even preliminary tests, patients were exposed to the chemical material sarin. And then, we get Russia saying that, well, everyone, from the UN accused Assad way too harshly and made a rush to judgment. And he, for the UN Security Council, to respond in such a way, he condemns the assault that was done by Trump's, with all the Tomahawk missiles. But my basic question in all of this was, well, then who's responsible for the sarin gas attack? Was it really sarin that was used? Turkey's apparently an ally of ours at least on the surface level, because they're the ones receiving all the patients that were attacked. It says right here that, patients that were exposed to this were basically transferred out to Turkey to be cared for those that were still alive. So,
do you think Trump acted too fast, though, for this? I mean, there's no Congress. It was just like, nope, attack. Like, we don't know.
I don't agree with the fact that he bypassed Congress when you have to go through that to ensure that you're representing the Republic. But
that was something I was surprised he could do at all.
This is what the Republicans... But this is what...
To address the fact that, again, you've got this whole Russia conspiracy going on, and it's total bullshit, but there's people that still swallow it. This action just goes to prove that that's not the case. So that's one down.
All right, but here's my point, Dave, really quick, is that so they pointed that it's sarin, but we don't know who was behind the attack, right? Well, the reason I keep bringing that up is because now the Turkish government says they did not elaborate on how the sarin had been identified in the assault Tuesday, but it said some of the telling symptoms seen in the victims, including, lung weight, bleeding in the lungs, but this could be caused by a multitude of other chemicals like the VX nerve agent that I was, mentioning before, all these kind of things. So basically the ones that claimed what was used in the attack aren't saying how they were able to justify their findings. And we still don't know who's responsible for this attack initially.
Well, the Trump camp and the Republicans right now, all I ever heard was how Obama was overreaching his power. But all I've seen recently over the last couple of days is the Republicans and Trump overreaching their power, including the judge that was just elected, which they just completely. It looks like they cheated to get this guy in here. And now this attack.
What do you mean cheated?
Well, I mean, everybody's talking about this judge they just elected, right? Did they officially elect this guy?
Who's everybody?
All the news outlets. Every news page I pull open is talking about the judge and the attack by Trump. It's two things that are being accused of being done too fast or incorrectly by Trump or by the Republicans or by the Congress, whatever the hell you say. What do you think about that?
Are you talking about Neil Gorsuch or Gorsuch?
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name. Gorchcock or whatever his name is. Yeah.
Gorsh. Yeah.
Explain that to me. I mean, I don't know. I just know
it's a triumph for Trump, whose campaign appeal, it was reluctant with Republicans previously. They resisted in large part on his pledge to appoint another committed conservative to succeed, Scalia, who died last February.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like you said, Gorsuch just, was able to kind of just get in there.
I don't understand how it works,
it
though.
Just seems very
I don't understand how it's working, though. Yeah, like, people are saying that it's not right how he got in there, and then other people are saying, what are you talking about? And I'm confused at what the reason is for that. It doesn't seem like, isn't there a vote or something? I mean, like, where's the controversy, I guess? Like,
did they not have other choices? They've had other choices previously, but, I don't know.
I don't know. When I read
right here, the Democratic leader said of the Republicans after arguing for weeks that the nomination should be withdrawn if the Judge Gorsuch could not earn 60 votes. And apparently he couldn't earn those when polled beforehand, yet suddenly he's able to go in. They were waiting for a ninth justice to resolve what would otherwise be a 4-4 tie. So...
Yeah, so I'm confused. So did the guy break the tie, or did he? Like, why are they saying the Republicans essentially cheated or BS this guy in? I don't know where that's coming from. Is my point. Like, I don't understand why.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused on as well. It's just I wasn't aware that Trump was able to bypass Congress to make such a bold retaliation attack, and. Courtney and I were discussing this earlier. She was asking me, well, how can the president not get permission, basically, to send over 60, cruise missiles, somewhere to attack? And I said, I really, I know there's certain vetoes in place and things of that nature, but I was a bit perplexed as well. I didn't have an outright answer till I researched it a bit more, and I just said, same thing with the judge here. It's all just very confusing at this point. There's a lot of questions. I don't see a lot of answers, and everyone that or every source I try and seek out is either so anti-Trump that it gets me nowhere, or they're so pro-Trump that all they say is, well, everyone else is spouting fake news.
Yeah,
so I'm kind of not getting anywhere. It's the pot calling the kettle black, but it's going in just the big bad catch-22 full circle.
I mean, if the thing was almost tied and somebody broke the tie, if that's what happened, then I could see the liberals, the Democratic side, being like, "Oh, they've bullshitted us," and then I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know enough about it. But anyway, that just got into my point of that. Trump is, he's kind of he's acting really quickly on his own. I mean, imagine if Obama had sent 60 missiles like immediately, at Syria, and now Russia was upset and everything. He'd be getting killed, by these same people.
No, he wouldn't.
You don't think so?
12,000 bombs in Syria in 2016 by Obama.
He dropped
there's
multitude more.
There's clearly a different standard that's being held towards Trump in this situation.
I agree with you there. You might be right. Because Trump is so polarizing.
Not jump the gun. I don't want to say jump the gun. Trump didn't receive congressional approval that people are
Neither
saying
did Obama in many cases. The point is that this was a multi-level strategic move by Trump, that he's dealing with multiple different aspects, not only the military-industrial complex, the rhinos, that is the Republicans in name only in the Republicans, the neocons. You've got the sellout globalist Democrats. You've got all the corporatists that are working both sides. You've got all these different groups that are basically trying to fight Trump. Now, it can't be ignored that the economy is vastly improved with Trump being in there for such a short time. There's already been major commitments in moving business there. There's already been a sprout of job growth, factory building, and so forth. So socially, economically, I should say, and domestically, he has been moving forward with what he promised. This whole situation, despite the fact that he has said that he doesn't want to do this whole regime change, I do believe is something that is a strategic move specifically to tell the Chinese and the Koreans to stop messing around in the East, and that he's not going to get involved with the Middle East. In fact, he's going to work with Russia to try to eliminate ISIS and get this whole thing resolved.
I mean, everyone's hitting the panic button now. They're like, oh my God, World War III is, but so you think it's going to get worse now, or you think it's going to get better? You think this was like now Russia will adjust, like, okay, we got to kind of, pull it back a little bit, and Syria's going to take it easy?
I think Russia and the United States can find common ground in how to work with Syria and defeat ISIS, and that they can eliminate the need to have the boots on the ground, because again, military-industrial complex wants to push for that. War is good money. What better way to do so is to send everyone else's kid to go fight in a war that you're going to profit from, as opposed to your own that are in fucking some sort of prep school. So these bankers and stuff, they just want to profit. And if you can avoid sending those boots to the ground there in Syria, everyone's better for it. You've got to let the Syrians fight their their battles and stuff, and you got to support those. Like Saddam was a bad guy, but guess what? He kept balance in Iraq. Same thing with Syria. It is disgusting what these guys do internally.
Yeah,
but
to get a whole lot
considering
worse.
the fact that the cultures, and this is a big thing that people don't understand about Middle Eastern cultures, is that they have this culture that it's not the fair man that rules over people, it's the strong man, the guy that has that strong fist that is willing to do such despicable things to stay in power, and they respect that because of that culture. It looks backward to us, but that's the way it is, and you need those types of people to at least maintain some sort of control, due to the borders that were essentially...
Oh, you muted yourself, Dave.
My mouse is like literally working on its own. It's possessed.
Let me tell you, I brought this up the other day on my other Shame on the News thing, and I said basically, what are you going to do? I mean, you know what I mean? Because if you actually were to try to attack, and end Syria or end whatever this is, it would just breed another Iraq situation where it's like, oh, great, we went and took out Saddam Hussein, but we destabilized the whole area. So, Saddam Hussein, every once in a while, did something terrible to an amount of his civilians or citizens. And we ended up going in and removing him, saying, there was oil stuff, there was Saddam being a terrorist thing, they had weapons of mass destruction was number one. But a lot of times...
in the 1980s, he actually used chemical weapons that were sold to him from the West on the Iranians that he was fighting a war with.
Yeah.
He killed about 40 to 50,000 in one day.
Yeah.
So... we've got to understand that this guy was not a good guy.
No, absolutely he wasn't. But again, it's that trade-off. So we get rid of him, and it's like, oh, good. But the whole area is fucking crazy.
Yeah, the trade-off is even worse, unfortunately, because now you've got basically millions of Iraqis alone who have died, as well as people in all these other countries because of that destabilization. It's so tribal there that you've got Shia and Sunni that are fighting against each other, and all these Kurds and all these other groups that are fighting each other. And again, unfortunately, you need a despot like fucking Saddam Hussein to keep them all in check.
Do you think it would have been better? Do you think that, I'm talking about life in general, do you think life developing over there would be a lot more better suited if we completely almost stayed out of everything and eventually let technology, the world's distractions and the world's technology and entertainment grow, and eventually these people would just, going from...
But it's impossible to say that. Why? Because not only... and we got to remember this in context here, but not only has America almost from its inception been an imperial an imperial sort of nation, because they established their navy, they were able to get control of the Panama Canal, the Philippines, all these areas back in the 1900s and stuff that, again, America has territories. A lot of people don't remember that. You got your 50 states, but you've also got territories. What's a territory? Yeah. It's what's been captured, through warlike ambition. But Russia has also done the exact same thing. So everyone can't say, oh, America bad. Russia's done it. England's done it. Spain has done it. France has done it. Portugal has done it. All these other countries have done it. Colonialism, imperialism is part of history. It's just how humans work. Humans can be warlike, and therefore they're going to form an empire. And again, we've got to keep things in balance. We can't just think one country is good and one country is bad. Mm-hmm. This is all because of all these different reasons. The fact that you've got pipelines going through Syria that rather than benefit Russia, America wants to sort of benefit from those. But then the Russians want to do the same. They want to make sure that they get the oil and the Americans don't. Yeah. So it's all part of the whole game.
And also, I believe that nobody wants to really go to war either. So it's like fucked up. It's like... I mean, from what I understand of Putin, I mean, even though he can be a cutthroat son of a bitch, but in the end, I mean, he doesn't want to see kids burning and shit. He does not want to see that. So, nobody really wants to go to war. But I don't know if anybody has a poker face like Putin, though. You
make a good point there about not going to war, because what's better than a hot war, which is an active war where there's things going on, is a cold war, where you can actually mount weapons and say you could use them in the future, and you're just keeping that military-industrial complex going and all this expenditure, getting yourself further into debt. But you're still basically keeping all these people employed. Again, the war is a racket. It makes money, and it employs basically thousands of people in the United States. And that's a big problem that's always been said, is that you can't let this industry take over your country, because then you're always going to be in war. And the fact is, America officially has never stopped being in wars since World War II. They've always been involved in some sort of military action that essentially keeps them still at a state of war.
Yeah, and it's kind of like this missile launch with Donald Trump. It's like there's another example. It's kind of like just there's another one, and it's brought to light more, like you said. This happened all the time, and we would hear about it on the news, like in the background. You'd be like doing something, and they'd be like, "Today, the U.S. launched 100 missiles towards da 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 da," and they'd be like, "That'd be kind of it." They'd go off, but because Donald Trump is so polarizing, scrutinized, his tenacity towards this, and just the way the media loves to cover every single thing he does. When he does a missile launch, now we're seeing that even heightened, escalated. It's almost like everything we ever did, but it's on steroids. You know what I mean? Trump's launch is the same thing, like you said, as maybe we've done in the past, where it was covered.
That's a great point, because in fact, Bill Clinton, because this is after Bush, who again was involved in the Iraq War. Clinton, he had like Desert Fox, and there was another Desert sort of operation that was going on, where it established these two no-fly zones in the north and south of Iraq. And many times he lobbed these cruise missiles at these targets, as well as in, I believe it was Somalia, and that was the whole Black Hawk Down thing that went on there. And there was a few things with like Osama bin Laden, where they lobbed missiles there when they knew he was alive, and they decided, okay, we're not going to kill him. But they shot missiles there and stuff under Clinton, and there was no big hubbub as you're seeing right now with Clinton, with Trump specifically, like you said, because he was not as polarizing as Trump is.
Yeah, it's and you're right. And not only that, polarizing and panic. So that's why you're seeing all these people like, oh my God, World War III. Did you ever see any of that every time Obama launched something? Did you ever see any of that when Clinton launched something? No.
Even with Bush, you didn't see that sort of thing.
Yeah, even with Bush, it was just, we're going to Iraq. Everyone had what perspective. Everyone had the correct sort of perspective on things. I mean, not 100% with Bush. I mean, we was kind of a little fucked up, but we still kept it in perspective that we're going into war against the terrorists or against the Iraqi regime and Saddam Hussein. There was never, oh my God, World War, and I get that there's never been a situation where moving parts happen. Like whenever Russia gets brought up, everyone gets real nervous, no matter what. But you're right, it's never been like this. People are freaking, and that's dangerous, by the way. And I want to say, this is a result of the media. This is a result of the social media, the fake news, the heightened awareness that everyone has, the fucking, everyone's scared and frightened of everything, overreacting towards everything. I mean, what a weird fucking time, Dave. Like 20 years ago, we'd just be like, oh yeah, we launched some missiles, they fucking chemical weapons, well, all right. Like nobody would even fucking care, really. They'd be like, oh, well, that makes, I guess we did that.
Well, you do make a good point, because again, social media has really allowed for information to be spread, from the source. So you're getting photos of these supposed, attacks there in Syria and stuff, and you can compare them to, other photos and say, hey, there's there's something that's not adding up here, and like it spreads so quickly that there's no control over it. So, it does seem to control the sway of public opinion much more than it did even 20 years ago.
Well, within seconds you have multiple opinions on it and different opinions and created opinions, and everyone starts to run with their spin or their version of the story. So if you think that everything is a conspiracy, you're talking about false flags and shit and trying to find all the evidence you could, or anything you can manipulate to sound like it's a false flag or fake or it's not really happening. If you hate Trump, you jump all over the fact that, Trump criticized Obama for this and now he's launching and he went through Congress. And I mean, everyone's got their narrative or their stance or their situation, and they immediately take a swing on it, like right off the bat. People, kids, adults, everyone on Facebook is reading about it right away. Then they're commenting on it right away. Then other people are seeing their comments right away and hearing, and it's all jumbling up and creating a panic. It's a panic mode that we're, not that it's a bad or a good thing, but it's a panic mode that no one's used to. Where back in the day, it'd be like, there'd be a report on the news, and maybe you'd read about it on an internet site somewhere too, but you'd have a lot of time to sort of hear it and sort of not divulge it, but to absorb it, and to figure out in your own mind what kind of opinion you're going to take, and you kind of calm down and come to a rational reasoning about something without all this different sort of fake news agendas, immediate response from other people, panic from everyone, which makes you start to panic because fight or flight in our brains. And within an hour of this attack, if you're just sitting at home on your laptop, within an hour, you're freaking yourself out already. So, I mean, and then that fight or flight starts to take off in your brain. And, it actually coincides with a story that Leah told me the other day about the Hudson. I never heard that thing about the guy landing the plane on the Hudson. I don't know why. I never knew the real story. But I was on a plane.
I got to laugh at you at that because that was amazing. Captain Scully.
Yeah, exactly.
Captain Sully. Sully, who was played by Tom Hanks in that video, that movie, I should say. Apparently was the absolute perfect seminal captain who landed this plane better than any simulation, and he saved everyone, and it's incredible.
And by the way, they said, he got some criticism, I guess, because they thought he could have easily just made it back to the airport somehow or something. But you know what? There was a major problem, I guess, and they said he could make it back to the airport. He didn't think so, and he landed the plane. All I give a fuck is that guy landed the plane and no one's dead. If I'm getting off that plane, I'll suck that guy's dick. I will suck Captain Sully's dick because, are you kidding me? If I got off that plane in water and we were alive, I would have been like, where's the captain? Because this guy deserves a BJ. And my point in this, though, Dave, is the panic of people jumping really quick. But, before getting rational, they panic and they do something stupid. And you could maybe even say maybe Trump, maybe that's what happened with Trump. Like, he saw those pictures of the kids suffering, all that stuff, and he was like, fuck this, 60 missiles, that airbase, let's go. Like, I'm not waiting around. And he saw you could see the look in his eyes.
I thought that initially, but I don't think so, to be quite honest. I think he's a lot smarter than that, and I think that he realized that, especially with all his contacts, that this was a false flag, but that it was that, again, it was a strategic move. It was an opportunity, and this is another thing I did not mention, is that these Tomahawks essentially are obsolete. Yeah. They are very old missiles. They're basically from the 70s. 74, I believe, is when the concept was laid down. And they're old technology. The U.S. has very little of them in stock. And this was a perfect opportunity to essentially utilize
get rid of them.
The stock that left them, that they had left to them, and to use it up and still sort of send a message out. This was more of a political message that was being sent rather than actually an action towards anything in Assad's situation there. Okay. Because again, the Russians had the ability to shoot it down with the S-400 system, but they chose not to because it costs about $2 million per missile that the Russians have to shoot each missile down, and they didn't have enough to basically shoot them down. This was a calculated move from everyone, and Trump called the Russians prior.
Yeah, to tell them
he told them what he was going to do, and he left the runway complete so that the Russians could move in and to help support the Syrians. So I heard that this was a very strategic move.
I had heard that he bombed the runways, but
no, he didn't. That's the thing. He bombed air shelters and the what are they called? The fucking hangars, but he did not bomb the runway.
Okay, well, my point about the Hudson landing of the plane, by the way, was that passengers, I guess, on that plane, when they landed in the water, you have time to single file out the front of the plane and get in the rafts and stuff. and people in the back panicked, and they opened up the door, and that let water into the plane and kind of almost fucked things up. And so that was my point about kind of rushing into things, and people, how they rush into things on social media before thinking real quick, and kind of filing into all the other news and learning everything they can before they start, going.
Well, I did sort of the same thing in regards to this, because I'm not pleased with the whole situation that these missiles were fired. But I can understand why it happened, and looking more into the situation, it obviously makes sense from a lot of different angles. So despite my displeasure, again, I can't necessarily condemn the situation, knowing that this was more of a strategic slap on the wrist to bring conversation to the Syrian issue than it was to actually start a war and create even more chaos there in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like gangs fighting in California, and one of the gangs throws a rock through someone's house. Like, it was like, I mean, it's really not a, nobody got shot. It wasn't a drive-by. It's not a fight in the street.
To be quite honest, I can't say that. I can't agree with that. Like, the best way that I can equate this is that, somebody, I don't know, threatens you, and that you go to their house and you pull a gun on them and you point it in their face and say, the next time that you talk shit about me, even if it is that I'm not around, I'm going to kill you and your family. And
Jesus
this
Christ.
is basically that sort of but this was not a message to the Syrians.
Yeah.
Nor was it a message to the Russians. It was a message to the Chinese and to the North Koreans, because that's where the actual situation can go crazy.
So you think that really? So yeah, we use this situation to basically say we're fucking ready. You want to go North Korea?
Yes, exactly. It's Trump basically, and Trump basically is surrounded by enemies. He's surrounded by people that not only want to see him fail, but they want to actually use him to, again, make more war, the neocons and even the Democrats. They want to basically create more problems in the states, because, again, they were holding back this judge for the Supreme Court, which I'm not necessarily for or against. There's a lot of issues I've got against him. But again, you've seen a lot of holdback from the Democrats. This was a way to sort of like appease a lot of, again, the warmongers in the Democrats to say, I'm willing to take a stance and to, sort of consider, going to war. I think he's actually playing everyone. Trump has, again, proved me wrong multiple times. There's been multiple times where I've said, you know what, that was a fucking stupid move. I don't like that. And then what comes out of it is actually even better than I could even think. Like the whole Ryan Care situation, the Obama light that failed. Yeah. He set that up.
Yeah.
Trump set that up. He set Paul Ryan up to fail. Why? Paul Ryan's always been a globalist. He says he's a Republican. He's a Republican name only, a rhino.
Yeah.
So Trump, and he keeps doing this over and over again. He sets these people into position of power to say, okay, do your thing. He lets them fail, and the system itself with the Democrats, for example, saying, okay, no, we don't like Paul Ryan. They remove him, and they remove an obstacle for Trump. I mean, this guy is a lot more intelligent than people even give him the opportunity to think so. Well, and that's why I'm also a little concerned, because I don't know what to expect from Trump. He's not a loose cannon. He's unpredictable, but he's very strategic.
It's weird. He's strategic, but yeah, he's unpredictable. But
I'm not a fan of the fact that he sent off all these fucking missiles. But what he's doing may just be something that I'm not totally aware of, and will prove that I was wrong and ignorant to what he was doing.
Yeah, he may know. He may obviously know things too that we don't know at this point.
Most definitely, that's the case.
Obviously.
But here's the thing: it's always great for us to be able to speculate, but in the end, foresight is 20/20. So we have to wait till everything plays out before we can actually judge, what's going on. But, there's a lot of stuff I'm not happy with. I woke up today and I wasn't happy with the fact that missiles were lobbed off to Syria. And I think that there's other ways of being able to do this in a more peaceful method. But, Trump, again, has proved me wrong. And, hopefully I'm wrong here.
What do you think about...
I don't want World War III. I do not want World War III. I don't want nuclear war. I want, more stabilization. I want prosperity. I want prosperity for every country in the planet. I don't want fucking, death and destruction. We've seen too much of that.
Yeah, I feel like it's scary that we're even in the mentions of it. It's like, man, we're so far beyond this, I feel like. Like, can we just... Like, can we get out of this? Like,
where the fuck are our moon bases?
Yeah,
we should be able to, be exploring the universe.
We should be. It's so stupid. We should be up there with Russia and China and us and Japan and whoever, the England and whoever else. And Canada, we should all be up on the fucking moons, and we should be arguing about that shit. We should be arguing about, like, who gets parts of the Mars and shit. And by the way, if we did that, I believe that. I strongly believe that. I almost wish, and I know this is going to be the hippie in me, but I almost wish that the U.S., Russia, Canada, all the major world powers came together and said, we're going to do something new. We've created we've had the UN, we've had all these things based on military weapons and things like that and war, but we want to have a new coalition that's space exploration, and all those countries should be getting together to try to go to Mars, to try to go to the moon, to try to establish life on those planets, to create oxygen, all that stuff. We should just be doing that. I mean, I guess you say that we kind of do that now, but it's a loose collaboration, and NASA's, the funding isn't ever always there. But I mean, like, if everybody focused most of our shit on, like, let's do this, let's go to Mars, and let's go to fucking this, and let's try to grab an asteroid and grab some of the shit off it. Hey, Russia, how about we fucking grab some of the goddamn minerals off some of these asteroids? We'll all make a shit ton of money. Some of the stuff on these asteroids that fly by, some of the stuff on that we could, what's the word for it? Not to mine, but to
monetize.
Maybe monetize, but no, there's another word for it. I can't think of...
Exploit?
No, it's like not terrain, but there's anyway, there's a word that I can't think of. It's a great word too. It was always in all the video games I used to play, because they used to have to collect gold and stuff like that. Prospect, I guess, could be a word. But no, I mean, like, we could easily grab some of those minerals and some of that stuff off of, an asteroid or other planets, and that would fund many of the countries and many of the endeavors going forward. I mean, you could even do that. You could even have space programs. Like, the first goal of NASA or whatever this coalition is to go to Mars or go onto an asteroid to grab the fucking minerals off it and to sell that stuff to make profit for more space exploration. Like, I mean, they could really do that. It sounds ridiculous, but it would save the taxpayers. It would save everybody. So you're not just going to a planet to take a photo of it, and that costs like $300 million. No, we're landing on an asteroid with a device, scooping up some of this meteor shit, bringing it back, and selling the minerals. Because, I mean, I was watching some of the things that were sold on eBay the other day that came from, like, meteorites that fall to the Earth. And it's like, over the last 10 years, over $20 million has been made in the sales of meteorites and minerals off the meteorites and all these different things across the world. And, if you can just walk around and pick one of those up, NASA was recently, didn't they just cancel this? I think Trump actually canceled it. He canceled the attempt, we were going to make it landing something on one of the asteroids coming by, or one of the meteors coming by, or some shit like that. And it was like, but if everybody was working hard to get on there,
well, hold on. He's reaffirmed his commitment to not only establishing moon bases and a return to the moon, but actually a trip to Mars. And
yes,
I will be totally honest, I'm vehemently opposed to both of those proposals. Again, I still think that we should be having moon bases at this time.
Yeah.
But, it's 2017. We should have actually had them probably in the mid-'80s.
Yeah.
But the fact is, we got too many problems on the planet here on Earth that need to be resolved. Let's get those solved first. The only thing that we should be doing in space is maintaining a space station for research purposes, which I still think is maybe a little too much, because the current space station costs more than the Apollo program in current money. That's $120 some odd billion. And it could have probably been done a lot cheaper if there was more cooperation with different, countries and such.
Yeah.
And we should only be having satellites in space for, GPS, for example, for satellites of weather prediction and such. Again, spy satellites are just part of that. They're going to do it whether we like it or not. But we don't need to be going to other planets right now. I think that we honestly need to be concentrating on planet Earth, fixing our problems, because I really do think in the end, if we, fix the problems that we have here, naturally, not by forcing a one world government, by actually allowing everyone to have that freedom to make those choices, we could end up in a Star Trek situation where people do work for the greater good and we are exploring the stars.
Yeah, it would be nice. I mean, to be honest, it looks like we're coming up to Star Trek when the fucking whole world goes to war. And then the aliens land, and then everything changes when the aliens land. But the more realistic thing that would happen is we would all have to get along first before the aliens would land, or whatever. And we're probably not going to see aliens. I mean, like until we go out and find some, because who the fuck of them would land here? I feel like we really would have to find them. They must be on such.
Well, I could answer that question, but I think it would be better set for Final Frontier News.
Yeah, our other channel that we never can get content on. I can never get content on Final Frontier News. Something always happens. But yeah, shit. I mean, everyone's scared, but it's really just another day at the office, I guess. In many ways, as much as it isn't, but it is, and it sucks. And hopefully everything goes away and things get figured out. Based on what I've heard from Putin, he doesn't want to do anything crazy, just like we don't want to do anything really too crazy either. I think the only one to be concerned about in this whole thing would be anybody who supports North Korea. To me, they're the ones that it's like...
And that includes Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah. North Korea is fucking weird.
John McCain is one of the biggest pieces of shit and traitors in all of history. And that's just one example that I can say of those that, people would say, oh, well, you're totally defending Republicans. It's like, no, most of the Republicans are fucking sold out pieces of garbage. And, the Democrats are just the same. So you got to understand, it's us versus them, not Republicans versus Democrats. We've moved beyond that paradigm now.
What do you think about North Korea? Why do they do this? What is the point in constantly freaking out that they're going to launch missiles and nuclear weapons? I mean...
Well, they're a proxy for China. So basically, China allows them to run their thing so that they have sort of a leeway, a sort of buffer with the West. They can say, well, they can always point to North Korea and say, well, we're keeping these guys in check, so you got to be sure that you're respectful to us. And North Korea does their thing, and, they'll say, oh, we're threatened to, nuke the States. So the States pays money to them with, like, foreign aid, with, like, food, all this stuff like that the people really need, because the people are being destroyed there. It's disgusting.
Yeah, those
and
are the real...
China basically says, oh, okay, well, we'll pay for some stuff as well and stuff. Again, China doesn't want the influx of refugees from North Korea flooding into their borders.
Yeah, well, what's going to happen when North Korea does try to launch something? I mean, that's what's going to happen. I mean, we're gonna blow them up.
Well, North Korea will be a smoldering, crater, basically, from the attacks. But the problem is, though, that their artillery is so close to the border with South Korea, especially focused on the capital, that there's going to be massive loss of life from this conventional attack, because maybe North Korea can fire a few nuclear missiles off. Yeah. Maybe one of them hits its target, which is despicable and disgusting on its own. But their conventional attack of artillery will cause hundreds of thousands of deaths.
Yeah.
And it's better, quite honestly, it is better to find somebody inside the North Korean regime that's willing to assassinate this guy and have fights between them so that they can determine, okay, who's going to run the country from now, and how are we going to get them to, sort of agree with like unifying with South Korea and being peaceful and cool again. That's the better thing to do, in my opinion.
Maybe,
but striking them militarily is scary.
Doesn't that get into like Iraq again? I mean, then like the country is destabilized again, and they don't know what to do. And...
The North. But that's the thing. That always goes back to culture. The Koreans, especially the North Koreans, have something that's called duche, and it means self-reliance. And that's how they've been able to survive so long, as well as the fact that they have what is called the cult of personality, where you had, all these different Kims that were in power, that essentially all these statues were made for them when they died. All these people are crying for them and stuff. Like, essentially, these people actually believe they're gods. So these people are brainwashed to fight for their regime till the end. And that is the biggest thing that should be concerning, because despite the fact that they're being starved, these people are brainwashed. So it's better to hopefully have someone convince them from the inside, we don't need to go to war. We just have to take out fucking Kim Jong-il, or whatever his name is. I can't remember them more.
Kim Jong-un.
And yeah, Kim Jong-un. Yeah. Un.
Yeah.
And because that's the thing, we don't need war, especially in the Korean peninsula, because it's going to drag the Chinese in, and the Japanese, the Philippines, the Vietnamese. Like, North Korea's been threatening everyone in the region, and China's just let them go on it. So
we have too. I mean, because don't you think that they just think like, whatever, the stupid little brother, shut up. They don't care.
No, because it's worked for the last 20 years. We're basically, there's also been technology that's been shipped over to North Korea from the Clinton campaign, Clinton crime syndicate, I should say, which is both Bill and Hillary. They've allowed for this technology to be transferred over to China and North Korea, and that's how they've been able to advance their technology so quickly. No one seems to realize that for the longest time, at least until about the 90s, North Korea, for the most part, was a third world country, but then their technology leapfrogged, and no one questions that.
Yeah.
Fact is, it was given to them because it's better to have, and again, this is the whole thing about playing both sides that people don't understand. It's much more profitable to play both sides. So in this case, you've got people in the Clinton Foundation, in the Clinton syndicate, I should say, and they're all the same foundation, but they're basically giving this information to North Korea. North Korea is advancing their missile system. They now can claim, okay, we're going to attack the states. The state says, okay, well, they're going to, they're saying they're going to attack us, so we need more funding. They give us more they give them more funding. There's more increase in expenditure of military, hardware and missile defense and stuff, and we get another situation where North Korea says the same thing again. What happens? More expenditure over and over and over again. All it is you're using this useful enemy to basically build the military-industrial complex even more, with more spending for more potential war. Again, like I told you at the beginning, a Cold War is more profitable than a hot war. Yeah, in a hot war like Vietnam, you're fucking spending money, you're bombing and stuff, but in the end, you're using that stuff.
Right, and
in a Cold War, you're not using anything, but you keep spending more and more because this threat supposedly keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Well, that, and I think you look better to the people, too. It doesn't look as bad to the people. When you're in a war, people are freaking out, and the country, everything. You lose money then, probably, because everyone's freaking out.
Yeah, I got you there. I got to wrap it up, but I mean, this was a good. We could have, and to be honest, we did. You said this would take an hour, and in retrospect, we could do another hour. I mean, I think, but maybe not. Maybe I don't know where you're at. But is there anything else you wanted to say? I mean, my opinion. I don't know. It happened.
Well, I think this is a good first step. And again, I think I showed that I'm trying to be impartial here and unbiased, and I'm more interested actually in reading the comments that people are going to leave for this video, in regards to all the different things that we discussed, because I'm very pleased with this discussion, and we did cover a lot of different things, but in the end, our interest really is in everyone's well-being and safety, and we don't want to see war. We're really just trying to bring things to everyone's attention to make sure that we don't go to that direction.
I also want to say on an unrelated topic, breaking news, an hour ago, 4 are dead after a truck crashed into a Swedish department store. Don't know exactly what...
Actually, that happened this morning. I was following that, and although a little bit different from our current topic, there was 3 gunmen, which it came out later because initially it sounded like there was no gunman, but this individual actually in the truck ran and killed a bunch of people, ran them over, killed a dog even, and then there was 3 gunmen that were on the loose in the train system in the subways. They had to shut that down. Right now, currently as we speak, the military has taken over Stockholm, and they're basically running through the city. There's a curfew. No one's allowed to be outside. Right now, Sweden is going under full martial law.
What is... And I mean, I'm sorry, but we talked about this for a year, and it's culminated with shit like this. More and more and more. And Dave, let me rattle this off real quick. First of all, this is...
By the way, Trump was right.
Right. I mean, this has been building. This has been building in Sweden. Here's my question to you. Syria. Obama, liberals, Democrats take a more defensive stand of, okay, something is going on in Syria. Well, we need to take the refugees in. We must take the refugees in and come over here, and that's all we want to do. Trump's... And what we know of Trump is that we don't want to take any refugees unless, we screen them all first, and we need to not take any right now until we figure out what the fuck is going on. However, we will attack their government because they attacked their citizens. I mean, this is what Trump is saying. So it's weird. It's like sort of Obama and Trump both agree, but they're both have different ways of dealing with it, where it's like, one takes a more defensive stand, one takes a more offensive stand.
It's all a game of 4D chess.
Yeah, but then here's Sweden, who takes all these refugees, and they're under the most attack. This is the 6th attack since 4 months ago when we talked about this, and when we had a big discussion about this 4 months ago. This is maybe, I don't know numbers really, but I think it's the 6th type of attack like this.
It's much more than that. There's essentially an attack, at least an attack every night in Sweden. There's constant arsons, assaults, no-go zones. It's much worse than the mainstream media is even letting on about. It is a failed country right now, and it's very close to civil war if it's not right there.
They were so peaceful. They were so happy, and it was all like everybody should go to Sweden because it's so beautiful and nice. And now it's like these people are just ruining the country.
Well, unfortunately, there's been several individuals who have been caught raping children, like 5-6-year-old children, and the Swedish courts bar the possibility of them being deported from the country, and they give them maybe house arrest, maybe a month in jail for raping a child.
That's retarded.
But this stuff has been going on for years, literally. And if again, you can look this stuff up. It's sometimes hard to find, but you can look it up. You can even, again, utilize Google, for example, to translate a website. But you will find these instances where these individuals are protected by the system itself, aren't deported, and again, they're foreign citizens. They're not even like actual Swedes. And they're protected by the courts because apparently, their rationale is, this would be discriminatory, or we don't want to send them back to a war zone. They raped a child. I mean, it's this sort of liberal insanity. And I can't even say liberal. Let's say progressive insanity that is killing countries like Sweden and France and Germany. Germany recently actually said that if you're broadcasting on Twitch, you're considered a broadcaster, so you have to actually apply for a license So that means that you're now basically, if you can't pay for that, banned from speaking publicly, like normal free speech as we would think here in North America. And a lot of people have been using that to sort of get to a global audience, talking about what they're dealing with, where the government is allowing these rape gangs to go on. It's been happening in Rotterdam, in Netherlands, and it's insane. I mean, it's sad and it's unfortunate, but we're dealing with a society that doesn't want to admit that it has a problem.
Well, we're going to get out of here because we have to, but this is sort of a news story that continues to be on. I'm probably going to break up the end of this show into the two different videos, the last 10 minutes and the rest of what we did earlier. But real quick, thank you guys for listening. We hope you can subscribe down below to almost daily videos like this and podcasts every other day or so here on Shame on News, and share it around to all your friends, all your political groups and everywhere else, so that you guys can get in on the discussion too. We'll be going live eventually again sometime to take calls and stuff. That'll be a lot of fun. It's been a while since we've done that. And I want to thank Dave Rose at Devious Dave Rose on Twitter, at Shame on News on Twitter. You can message us there. And just hope you subscribe down below, and we'll see where we go from here. If you haven't, check out these other videos that are popping up and watch some of our past episodes. Thank you for listening.